These rare color images of Dr. King mark his time in Chicago in the 1960s. They were captured by Wheaton-based photographer Bernard Klania.
They say that a photograph is worth 1,000 words. I think that's true.
Klania's work in civil rights began during his time as a priest when he responded to Dr. King's call for clergy in Selma, Alabama. He then went on to capture Dr. King during the Chicago Freedom Movement, a protest against discriminatory housing practices. Those images are now on display at the Elmhurst Art Museum's new exhibit, In Focus.
I was surprised and even shocked at the violent response to Dr. King. In my naivete, I never realized that there'd be so much anger against him for doing what's right. So I was able to document that, and at times I was in the demonstrations, at times I was photographing, and in both cases I realized how divided we are and were in Chicago and in the nation.
From redlining to blockbusting to white flight, the exhibit also features statistics that highlight the areas most impacted by these discriminatory housing practices.
I would like to say that everything has changed, but everything has not changed. There's still discrimination in housing. There's still segregation. Because of that discrimination, a vast difference in the wealth of people of color as opposed to white Americans. And that means that they have less to leave to their children.
The exhibit also explores the current and future state of fair housing, as depicted in images by photographer Vashawn Jordan Jr.
Every race is separated by their own neighborhoods, but for the protest, people were coming from south to north, east to west. Everyone was coming together to fight for this. I think people understood if the protest started off peacefully and was derailed by outside agitators, they always came with that idea of peace and unity. When we look back at what Dr. King's messaging was, he wanted people to stay peaceful and get their message across without violence.
One of the exhibition's many takeaways is that fair housing is not just a city issue. It affects suburban communities as well.
We're hoping that people will understand is the depth of this issue everywhere. We're hoping that soul-stirring photographs of these photographers will carry some of those messages, and we can realize things like, you know, the color in the vivid color of the Bernie Kleina's photographs from the 1960s really helps transport us to that period, and we realize it happened not so long ago.
When people see what's going on, they're more responsive. They understand immediately the hurt, the danger that has been imposed on so many people, young people, old people. So I encourage people to keep their cameras in their hands and not in their pockets.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Angel Idowu.